What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to this video called Why America Sucks at Everything. Jeez, okay, well, I don't know. We don't do everything perfect. Okay, but do we really suck at everything? It's actually kind of funny because a lot of Americans really think that we are the best at everything, that we are the greatest. And that isn't quite true either. So today, I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at this video by the Gravel Institute and learn about what's wrong with the United States. Why America sucks at everything, according to this. So let's take a look.
America is the greatest country on earth. The strongest,
Hey!
the richest, the most powerful country on earth.
Yes!
As an American, I'm sure you've heard that roughly 135 times a year.
Yes.
235 if you go
Yes.
to public school.
Yes, yes, that's actually a very funny, appropriate way to begin this, because, yeah, I don't really know what it's like in other countries, but a big part of American culture here, when you grow up as a kid and throughout your whole life, you hear a lot of how great it is here, how lucky you are to be in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and the greatest things ever are here. And you hear that a lot. That's genuinely true. That is like a very, very big thing that's perpetuated in American culture.
335 if you go to a Christian academy. We're told that Americans have the best lives of any people in the world. That we have low taxes, small government, and the highest living standards on earth. And most inaccurately, that we're the freest.
Inaccurately. That's not accurate. That's inaccurate. Okay. I mean, to be totally honest, some of these things, like, I think we do very well. Some things we do okay, and some things we could definitely improve on. But I definitely agree that one of our biggest faults is that as a country, we don't really take criticism that well, and we don't really make any attempts to become better. And certainly not look at and learn from other places and cultures. And we definitely suck at some things, but I'm really curious to see where this is going.
Well, it is partly true. America is the richest country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world.
Hey,
It's really hard to comprehend just how rich we are. We have 18 million people who are millionaires. American households own about $100 trillion in wealth, an almost unthinkable amount of money.
yeah, like this is a big thing that we're proud of, and we're very proud of like the business and the capitalism sort of going on here in the U.S. We have a lot of the world's biggest, most successful businesses, and I didn't even know that we have like 18 million millionaires. Wow, I didn't even know that.
Okay, so America is the richest country ever. But there's a curious paradox. Most Americans actually have a much worse standard of living than people who live in poorer countries like Germany or Finland or Britain. But how can that be? That shouldn't make any sense. Well, here's the shitty deal. Americans get significantly worse services because our tax dollars don't fund them. So, of course, our services are worse. And thus,
That I think I understand what he's saying, because I've started to learn a bit about like healthcare in other countries and some of the benefits you guys get, and how a lot of it is taxpayer funded in other countries where your taxes pay for the healthcare, and we don't do that here in the United States, and it's something we don't really talk about. But there's a very, very like serious dark aspect to it where there's a lot of Americans here we're supposed to be like a first world country, and and we think we're the greatest, but a lot of Americans who can't even like get the health and hospital care and the doctor and the operations that we need, purely because of our stupid system that we've set up. So it is an interesting paradox. Like, obviously, the United States has been a success, like, financially. Um, but what we have done with that and how we've used that, or set up the social systems within our own country don't reflect the success that we've had with, like, finance and money and the dollar. And so that's very sort of embarrassing in a way.
We enjoy less happy lives than people who live in the aforementioned countries. Not that difficult a concept to conceive, really. You get what you pay for, said the cartoon dog to the other cartoon dog. And while you might think the reason American tax dollars don't fund as many services is because we pay lower taxes than other countries, that's not even true.
Yeah.
When you add federal, state, local, and sales taxes and include other costs and services that our taxes don't cover but other countries' taxes do, like our uniquely high health insurance premiums, you'll find that Americans actually give away more of their wages than most of the developed world.
What? Wait, what? Even I kind of assumed that our tax rates we're paying like less in taxes somehow if we're not even getting like health care out of it. So I would say a lot of Americans are probably misinformed about that. We pay just as much taxes as other comparable countries, but there's more Americans like living with a lower quality of living than other countries. Am I understanding this correct? Because that's not good.
For example, in Canada, for a married worker with 2 kids, all of the previously mentioned costs combined, from taxes to health insurance premiums, make up only 11% of the average wage. In the UK, it's just about 26%. Meanwhile, once you tack on the cost of our outlandish health insurance premiums, you're spending a whopping 43% of your paycheck.
What?
That's more than France, Finland, Sweden, and Norway.
What? Oh my. And I understand now because we're adding on the health insurance premium. That's the amount of money every American has to pay every month to stay on their healthcare insurance plan. And I'm talking about this year, like for most people, that number like almost doubled, like this year for healthcare insurance premiums. Just talking about that. But if you add the costs that Americans pay every month for healthcare insurance onto our taxes, we're like overall paying like double or triple or quadruple other countries of our total wages. I genuinely did not know that.
In real reality, Americans keep much less of what we own than in other countries. In other countries, their government takes a bit more tax, but then gives that money back to their citizens in the form of health care or job support or a general safety net for all vulnerable citizens, no matter how dusky they are. So what do Americans get for the money we pay in? Well, sure, we get a crumbling infrastructure, shameful homelessness.
I was just about to say, like, one of the most annoying things about paying taxes in the United States is I genuinely don't know what the taxes are paying for. Like something visceral, something real that I can see that the taxes are used for, like fixing the road, I guess. Other than that, I don't even know what they do with it.
And millions of hungry, neglected children, but
Cause yeah, just what he's saying. We do not have a lot of these like robust social programs and stuff. That would be something that taxpayer money would go towards, like helping people who need help, and we don't even really do that.
we also get some of the worst services in the developed world. Again, our healthcare. American healthcare is simultaneously the most expensive, the least efficient, and the least effective healthcare system in the developed world.
What?
Hey, the devil's trifecta. And in exchange for this extremely expensive, inefficient healthcare system, what do we get? well, we get some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world.
Oh my God. This is bad. I mean, it's good to like look at this and learn and be aware, but it hurts to acknowledge, even though you gotta. I think more Americans need to like get a grip and look at stuff like this and realize that we don't do everything the best, not even close. But one thing I thought that was pretty good here is our healthcare, not our healthcare insurance system, not the way we pay for it. I'm saying when you go to the doctor, it's usually a pretty good experience. The nurses are great. The doctors, the operations are very well done and a lot of skill. And that aspect, in my experience anyway, has always been pretty decent.
We have fewer hospital beds per capita than people in Turkey or Brunei. Americans have a lower life expectancy than people in Lebanon or Cuba. And in the Mississippi Delta and much of Appalachia, life expectancy is lower than in Bangladesh. In fact, in 2017, the United Nations sent a commissioner to West Virginia to document what he saw, and he described, quote, third world conditions of absolute poverty, unquote. We even have a higher infant mortality rate than people in Russia and Serbia.
Yeah. I mean, this is very eye-opening. And it's definitely stuff that we don't talk about here. Probably because it's not very pleasant to talk about, but you got to ask why. What? If we're making all this money and collecting all these taxes and we're supposed to be so great, why are we so bad at this?
In every single metric, America does worse across the board. So why is healthcare so expensive? Because it's so complicated. You have to look for in-network physicians, schedule an established care appointment, beg for coverage from your insurance company that couldn't care less about you, and that's if you're lucky enough to have good insurance. Compare that to Britain and all of those other evil, socialist-like countries where it's simple. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it. That's it. I'll repeat
What?
that. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't do that. I truly, like, actually, I think one reason is that, like, hospitals and health insurance companies are so rich based off our current system. And I don't want to get too, like, conspiratorial or anything, but I think a lot of the insurance companies or healthcare providers that make a lot of money, and the people who make drug pharmaceutical companies in America. They're some of the most powerful, rich people and companies in the United States, and I think they have a lot of lobbying power and political power. And because otherwise, I don't think there's any real reason why we stay with the system that we have. There's literally, from what I'm seeing here, there's no good reason.
And here's the best part. Even though Britain offers healthcare for free, their system is actually a lot cheaper to run than ours. Per capita healthcare spending in the U.S. is almost 3 times what it is in Britain, and almost 5 times what Canadians spend.
What?
In fact, Americans spend the most per person of any country in the world for healthcare. But
I think if more Americans were more educated about this, like, maybe something could change, I don't know, but more Americans would agree that having a different system, like a taxpayer system, sounds amazing. Like, not worrying about if you're covered with your insurance, if they accept your insurance, not worrying about how much is going to be covered by the insurance, if you have insurance, just showing up to the hospital and, like, saying, I'm here and I'm ready for care, and that's it. That's what you have to worry about. It's already stressful enough if you're getting health care. You're sick or need something done. That's already tough enough. But in America, we make it like 1,000 times harder.
the free market is more efficient, you screech. But in America, private systems often aren't efficient at all. Private drug companies have an incentive to charge whatever they can get away with for pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
In Canada, a carton of insulin costs about $20. In the US, it costs $300.
Unbelievable.
And with private insurance companies footing the bill, hospitals have an incentive to get as much money out of patients as possible, too.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2015, the average cost of an MRI scan in the U.S. was $1,119.
What?
But it was only $215 in Australia. Spain, about $181. And our healthcare system is so inefficient that we spend over a third of our cost on administration. The United States spends significantly more on administration than we spend on preventative or long-term healthcare.
It's so annoying to even think about. Like, administration. It's not even being spent on the actual, like, medicine or medical services. It's most of the money is spent on coming up with the processes to collect your money, you know?
That's just not smart. Okay, we get it. We all know that American healthcare is so much more expensive, you say, but that's the cost of having the freest freedom in God's favorite country. Well, guess what? Medical procedures that are totally free in Britain, like giving birth, cost tens of thousands of dollars in the United States. I mean, you want to talk about the cost of freedom. Sadly,
Yeah, I mean, that's why in America you need health insurance. A lot of people have it through their job, which is nice. Otherwise, you have to get like private insurance from the government or something. And yeah, if you're giving birth, like without health insurance in America, it'd be tens of thousands of dollars. Nobody can, like, that's insane. No one, you need insurance or your life is ruined. Even with insurance, you know, birth, it could be like $3,000, $4,000, which is still like very difficult to come up with for most families.
because of these high costs, Americans often avoid going to the doctor, something almost half the population say they do. With shoddy or non-existent health insurance, Americans will wait until their conditions force them into the emergency room where treatment is far more expensive.
That's very true. I know people who are hurt and don't want to call the ambulance because that's like $1,000, or sometimes it's true. Like it's happened to me where you just you're in pain or something weird's going on and you're not dying. So it's like, you're thinking, do I really want to go in? And if they admit me, that's going to be extra costs. If it's the emergency room, that's a ton of money right there. Maybe I'll be okay. Like the fact that that's how we live our lives, and that's very normal here. That thought process, that should not be normal. It's crazy that that's normal.
Again, not a smart system. Quite often, they end up putting off medical visits and dying. Susan
Sure.
Finley, a 53-year-old Walmart employee in Colorado, got pneumonia and took one day off of work beyond what Walmart's policy allows. So, of course, Walmart's going to Walmart, which they did by firing her.
Sure.
Without her job, she lost her nominal health care coverage, she struggled to find new work, and after avoiding a visit to the doctor for flu-like symptoms, she was found dead in her apartment.
Yeah, that's another thing, because there's so little government oversight into our businesses and employers. Like, there are policies like that, where you only have a certain number of sick days. You only have a certain number of days that you're allowed to be sick. Imagine that. Like, that's normal here.
When Americans do manage to get treated, they frequently can't afford it. Simple, life-saving treatments can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if they don't have really good insurance, they're forced to take on medical debt. Tens of millions of Americans owe medical debt, often into the tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, in a country like Britain or Norway, medical debt is almost unheard of. But hey,
It's funny because, like, I'm aware of all this. Like, I participated in our healthcare system. I know about all this. But just hearing him, like, spell it out like this, because it's something we don't really talk about, or it's so normal here. Hearing it presented like this, especially compared to other countries that do things differently, really shows me as an American how ridiculous, how outrageous our system is. Like, we really suck at this.
That's why GoFundMe is such a critical component of American healthcare. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. I'll repeat that. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills.
Sure. It's if I see like on Facebook or something like to donate to someone's medical coverage or medical bills, that I would not think that's that strange or unusual. But it's crazy.
America is such a strong, powerful, rich, and great country that its citizens have to beg strangers on the internet for money so they can get life-saving treatments that are free in the rest of the developed world.
Literally, like, especially hearing that, like, how all of this is just available and free in other parts of the world. I think it's coming out of your tax money, so it's not like totally free, but I would be so happy if I knew that my taxes were covering my medical expenses. I would be delighted to know that. That'd be great.
But hey, that's just healthcare. Americans get terrible deals wherever you look. Let's
God.
take work, for example. Americans work longer hours than people in any other rich country in the world, and that's not because they enjoy sleep deprivation and not seeing their families for days at a time. It's because they don't want to starve, or freeze, or die.
Yeah.
See, America has the least generous job support programs, the least generous family benefits, and the least generous unemployment benefits of any wealthy country.
See, I didn't really know all that. I think most Americans don't realize how bad our benefits are. That's the crazy thing, because Americans in general, like, we don't know that much about other countries, other cultures. We're very much in a bubble here. So you might be asking, why aren't we upset with all this? It's because we don't even know that it's weird. We don't even know that it's unreasonable. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like,
It's one of the only countries on Earth that doesn't guarantee paid time off for vacations. It doesn't even help provide paid time off for parents who just had a child. And it's not coincidental that we're also one of the most hostile countries to workers' rights. America has one of the lowest unionization rates in the entire world.
right.
Maybe this deprivation, our refusal to give people the means to lead a good, dignified life commensurate with how rich our country is, can explain a bit of what we've seen in the United States over the last few decades.
It just really begs the question, like, what is the purpose of even having a country or a government and taxes if it doesn't provide all of these services? Like, this really is just demonstrating, it's illustrating for me how freaking behind we are compared to like a lot of other countries around the world. Like, it almost seems like we are the only country that does it this way, where our benefits and our social services, our healthcare and job benefits are so bad. It feels like we're the only ones doing this.
Fraying communities, rising rates of depression and suicide, huge numbers of deaths from drug overdoses. These so-called deaths of despair, suicide, drug overdoses, alcoholic liver disease, they're one big reason why American life expectancy has actually started to decline over the last few years.
What?
And with such poor conditions, it's not a surprise that poverty is so rampant in the United States. America devotes a smaller percentage of spending on social welfare than any other industrialized economy because, say it with me,
Wow.
socialism is evil. It's evil.
Exactly. Socialism, like taking care of the broader community, like someone who's better off, some of their money benefiting someone who's worse off. All of these concepts are very scary, and to Americans, like, we're taught that that's very bad.
Go to Denmark and try telling those happy, healthy families enjoying their paid vacation that their system of government is evil. Guess what? I guarantee they'll know you're an American. But I digress.
Oh,
America
my God.
also has the highest rate of child poverty of any developed country, and the highest percentage of workers earning significantly less than the national median income.
This just also emphasizes another thing. America might be very rich. We have a lot of money, but it's concentrated in like the top 10% or 1% of earners in America, billionaires and millionaires. And just because America, the country, has a lot of money collectively, obviously, you can see according to these stats, like our poor communities of America are some of the poorest of countries who have overall less wealth than us.
That seems pretty evil to me, especially since such a tiny fraction take as much of your money for themselves and their families as you will let them. All the while, both parties smile and shake hands. Across every single metric, no people accept a worse deal than Americans today.
Oh my God.
High taxes, high cost of living for next to nothing in return from the government. The most expensive healthcare system for the worst health outcomes. More money taken from workers for the highest rate of child poverty. We are the richest country in the history of the world, but we have fewer miles of high-speed rail than Uzbekistan.
It just keeps getting worse. Yeah, like the public transport services here are a joke. Yeah, we don't have high-speed rail ways to get around. We have a massive country. There's no way to get around it, like travel around it, unless you have a car or take a plane. That's also something I think we're very behind on.
We are the greatest country in the world, yet we have the most people in prison of any country, and the highest incarceration rate as well, and a higher rate of police killings than in Angola and Sudan. America is bad at everything because instead of choosing to make life better for people through a public healthcare system or more generous childcare policies or better public transit or programs that allow people to spend more time with their families, American law is designed and crafted to protect a class of parasitical middleman industries. Instead of using...
I was going to say, like, protect the most powerful rich people in America, but I think that's kind of the gist of what he's getting at. Yeah, I mean, the question is, like, why is it this way? Why is it this way? It doesn't have to be this way. And I think based on this, it's like two things. Americans are very ignorant, and we don't know how screwed we are. We don't understand how taken advantage we are by our own like government and policies and our taxes, and we just don't understand. Like, and that could easily be remedied by simply looking at other countries and the policies you have. And also the rich and powerful want it to stay that way, you know.
A proportionally tiny piece of the massive amount of the wealth in this country to make people's lives healthier and happier. Most of our elected leaders are, and have been for generations, engaged in a massive project of looting, gently and lovingly guiding as much money as possible from working people into the pockets of the well-connected and the ultra-rich. Think about that as we start hearing about the inevitable rise in homelessness, poverty, starvation, and sickness that will occur during these coming months and years in the greatest, strongest, richest, most powerful country on the face of the earth.
Wow. Geez. Bit depressing, honestly. But like I said, I had a lot of takeaways from this video. And it's good to, like, as an American, to be aware of all these things. And it'd be great if more Americans were aware. But at the same time, it's depressing just to see how far we've, like, dropped the ball, how poorly we've done with, while having a lot of success, what we've done with it is just ridiculously bad in terms of, you know, social services and taking care of the people of America, which is a pretty important thing. That's depressing to think that might never change either. But anyway, this was extremely insightful, and I enjoyed learning, but I didn't enjoy the harsh reality of America sucking at a bunch of things. That turns out to be more true than I'd care to admit. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on this video, why America sucks at everything. Jeez. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.